All right, so Cocalc. All right, you guys have heard me in class mention this before, but basically Cocalc is a great place for you guys to go online for Linux terminal access from a Windows computer. So for your shell assignment, this is what I would suggest that you use. All right. So we're going to go through the process of creating the account, getting a terminal set up, and starting to work on things is really what it comes down to. All right. So anyway, looks like I might be logged in already. So let me log myself out. All right, so we're going to go to the button that says sign up at the top here. All right, and I'm going to go with instructor, I guess. I'm teaching a course. You guys can go with students. And we're going to go ahead and type an email address in here. So I'm going to use my HCC one because I haven't used that before. All right, make a lovely password that you want to use. The process here is overall pretty simple, so I'm going to let you walk through this yourself. All right, got that all filled out. We can go ahead and hit sign up at the bottom. And my email here is already in use. But anyway, once you hit sign up, you'll probably get an email, asking you to confirm your email address, yada, yada, yada. Didn't realize that I already had one for my Hagerstown email. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and sign in, but I think you guys are all probably good enough that you can walk through a sign up by yourself. All right, so we will go ahead and do, I'm just going to go ahead and sign in here, and got myself signed in. All right, so at this point, I've got a create project button over here. All right, if this is your first time logging in, it might have popped up a window just like going at it right off the bat. All right, but I got a create project button, so I'm going to go ahead and hit that. And I'm going to just call this, CSC 109 sounds like a good option for me for my title. And then here it gives you the software option that you want to use. So we've got some Ubuntu options, we've got some other specialized stuff, but we're just going to go with, I would stick with the default there. There's no need, as far as I'm concerned, to do anything else. So just stick with the default Ubuntu, and they'll make your life probably a little bit on the easier side. And then we can go ahead and hit create project. All right, now it's telling me there's no internet access on this license, which for me is perfectly fine. For you guys, it's perfectly fine, because all we're doing is, creating a shell script. So you shouldn't really need access to the internet. Now, if you're using this for something else, then maybe you do. Then maybe you need to add a license. But for our purpose of this class, no internet is perfectly fine. So we can go ahead and just dismiss that. All right. All right, so now we can either create or upload files, but what we're going to do is over here on the left-hand side, there's a button that says New. We're going to go ahead and click on that, and then we're going to go ahead and click on the Linux terminal option. All right, I guess if you wanted, you could do a graphics desktop if you want to actually have that GUI, but for what we're doing this for, which is writing a shell script, to me, the Linux terminal, is the one that makes the most sense. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And you'll now notice that we are sitting in a Linux terminal. If I would start running commands, like I could do a little ls command, and it would tell me that, hey, I've got this terminal file here. All right, that's all I got. If I would do an ls and / right, that will then show me the root directory, all the folder structures in there. All right, so this is just like clicking on the terminal icon in class, right, on the desktop. All right, exact same thing. All right, now this is a little bit nice, all right? So if we wanted to, make a file here, and I could do a little nano command, and I can just call this example.sh. Helps if I can spell. All right, and now I'm using the nano editor here to, start editing a file. So that is all well and good. All right, and I'm just going to do echo test 1, 2, 3, All right. And now if I do a little sh for example, and it says test 1, 2, 3. All right. So you can see that we've got this file. We're writing it. All is well. So you guys can go through and write your shell scripts in here just like you could sitting on any other terminal on any other Linux computer. But we're doing it in the web browser, and we're doing it, from our Windows computer or whatever it is. So to me, this is really useful. Anyway, so we are in here. That's how we can, kind of go about doing some things real quick. The one thing that I really do like about this, all right, is over here on the left, we actually have an Explorer button, and you will now notice, we gotta come back over to your screen. We actually now have two files. We have that terminal file that we opened, that we created, and then we have the example.sh file, all right? So if I actually click on the example.sh, it'll open in a second tab up here, which to me is really useful. of like cheating here, personally, because you're not actually going to have to do all of this via the terminal now. You can do it just like it's a word editor, which is kind of nice. But now I could add more things to this. So I could now just, echo, let's just do the ls of root now. Give that funness there. All right. And now there's a button that says save here. I don't know why it's not letting me save. It might have already saved it. Find out. So now I can come back to the terminal section, the tab at the top. And if I run sh example, you can see how we can run that. So we can now, instead of having to do nano and edit that file just like we did before, we can now just click to this terminal tab, or this tab at the top of that file that we have opened, and we can now come in and we can type things out, and we can actually use the mouse to click and navigate around this. It also tells you which line number we're on. So when it's like, hey, you've got an error on line 13, you can now come to this file and be like, there's line 13. You don't have to count it out like I used to do. Just hit the down arrow and be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just count 13 times down, and then be a little confused. You're like, now is this line 13 or 14? Did I remember to count from 0? Did I remember to count from 1? What am I doing? This just kind of shows you those line numbers on the left hand side there. And again, looks like it's auto-saving it. So if I try to run this now, you'll see that it does say example.sh3, this not found. So it's telling me like, hey, you've got this problem right here. All right. So we come back over here, we can see line 3. Look, I just typed some random thing in there. So to me, this is a really handy way for you guys to work on these shell assignments, because you don't have to constantly jump back and forth between nano and sh and nano and sh as you're editing the file. All right. To me, that makes your life really easy. All right. It's just make your modifications, save it if it didn't save it, and then come back up here, and then I just hit the up arrow and then enter, and it runs the command again. And you can be like, that's working great, or it's not working, and there's errors, type of thing. And then you can just jump back and forth between things. And the fact that you can use your mouse to navigate through this, oh man, that's a game changer right there. When you guys are working with Linux terminals and you have to just use the arrow keys, or the page up, page down, it's a royal mess when you're trying to go through 100 lines of whatever. It's not the most fun thing in the world. So I really like Cocalc for doing this. I find it to be a very easy way to do things. All right. And then the other thing at the very end, many of you be like, well, how do I get my file? All right. Well, we could come in here, right? We could just highlight all this. I can copy it, and I can go to a text document or whatever on my Windows computer, and I can paste it, and I can save it. All right. So that's one way you can do it. The other thing you can do is we come back over here to Explorer. If we, I think it's right, no, is it this button? Check the box. One. All right, and then here's a download button. So you can actually just download the file right off the Cocalc website and then upload it to me for D2L. So it's a really handy way to me of being able to, go and grab this, the file for your assignment. So I like Cocalc for this. It overall seems to work fine. A little bit finicky sometimes trying to get it set up. All right, going through that process of creating the account and finding the terminal. That's the hardest part I found. All right. But again, that was just new, and then, so I'm on the right screen. New, and then selecting Linux terminal. All right, so overall, a nice, easy way to get you guys going here. Now, on the topic of the shell script assignment, we'll just put that in this video too. All right, so your shell script program assignment. All right, you're going to create a program that presents the user with 5 options, with a 5-option menu as seen below. It should tell the operator what each option does. All right, so when it presents it, you're not just going to be like, pick an option. No, you're going to say, option 1 is, date time. Option 2 is, first letter of name or something along those lines. All right? You are welcome to copy and paste this right into the document if you want. All right, so that way it's spitting this exact thing out. If you want to, shorten it up, make it a little bit sweeter, a little bit nicer, by all means do that too. All right, but I need to have at least an idea of what each option does, not just be like pick an option 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because then whoever be using your shell script at some point in the future would just be blindly guessing at what each option is. So I want you to be able to include hey, here's what the options are, so that way that whoever uses this would know. All right, and while yes, this assignment I would know because option 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, well, 1, 2, 3, 4 are all the same. 5 is always different. But if you're creating some shell script for use for whatever purpose in the future, you're probably not going to know, be giving it to someone who already knows what the options are. So we're going to include the option to explain what they are. All right. So anyway, it's going to give them these 5 options. They will then have to pick an option. All right, so they'd be like 5 or 6 or 3 or whatever option is they want to pick. And then based on what option they choose, it's then going to output different information. So for number 1, it's going to return the date and time. So it'd be like the time is, and and again, like you can just output the exact date command, right? You just type in date in terminal, and it just outputs whatever format it is it's going to format it to. All right, that would be perfectly fine. So if you just want to make it, when you say option 1, it just runs the date command and outputs this exact piece of information right there, that's fine. If you want to break it out and be like, the time is, and then, spit out the time, and the day of the date is, and spit that out, that's fine too. But at a minimum, I need to see the date and time. All right, and again, you can't just hard code this because, well, you never know when they're going to run this, so has to actually run that command. All right, 2 is going to ask the user to enter their first name again, so they're going to have to pick option 2. Then you're going to have to ask them for their first name again, and then you're going to find the first letter of their first name. All right. 3, they're going to pick a number 1 through 12, so again, you're going to ask them for more information. And then it's going to put out part of the 12 days of Christmas. So it's going to be like, 3 French hens or 2 turtle doves or, whatever it is. So again, they're going to pick an option. It's going to then spit out certain information based on that option. All right. 4, it's going to ask them to put their name in, and it's a 2-digit number, which should be how old they are, and it will add those 2 numbers together and give them a new number. All right. If you enter 11, it should output 2. If you enter 34, it should output 7. All right. So that type of thing, that's number 4. And then 5 is whatever you want it to do. All right. Now, when you are doing this, please just be a little, think about it, that you're not trying to have it do something that you don't have access to everywhere. All right. I've had students in the past before, which was really cool. They downloaded a specific app on their computer, which when they ran a specific command, it created a picture using characters and symbols of a cow or something like that. It was a fun command. But the thing wasn't installed on my computer. So when I ran it, it just errored out. It was like, can't find this command. And when I looked at it, it was like, okay, let me install that specific thing. And then it worked out fine. All right. This isn't an issue if you're using Cocalc because I don't think there's anything to install with Cocalc since it doesn't have internet. So you can't install those types of weird things. But just if you're using your own computer, VM, whatever for this, just be aware that I may not have that specific thing installed on my computer. So it may error out then, and then I'm gonna be like, what's going on here? And then I get a little grumpy, right? Because now you're making me go into your code and figure out what the problem is. All right. So for number 5, just think about what you want it to do, and like again, think about things that might be useful, like create a new user, enter a name, and now it's like we've created the user so and so in your account, or type of thing. Network information, ping. If you want to do pinging, that's fine. Even though again, on the Cocalc it won't work, but I'm not running these in Cocalc. I'm running these normally on my home server, so I do have internet there. So I could ping a server to see if there's internet to access, type of thing. That type of stuff. So option 5, basically be creative, have some fun with it. People have told me jokes before, type of thing. So something silly. All right. Next, you should have this exact thing at the top of your script. All right. So that should be the first thing in the top of your script. This is your header. All right. So it tells me what the name of your script is based on the file name that you plan to save it as. All right. It tells me your initials. Tells me the date. Now, the date, that one's going to vary, right? Because depending on when you submit this, all right, that will change a little bit. So the date. It's ideally have today's date, or if you want to put the due date, I'm okay with that as well. But I'm expecting something between now and when this thing is due for a date. The purpose, give me some details there, and then the command line. So how would you actually run this? If you were going to run this from the command line, what would you type? All right, would it be sh the file name? Would it be bash the file name? Are you expecting me to do // the file name? How would you run this specific script? All right, that's the name of the game here. All right, the other thing that's interesting here that I should say is I am expecting you to write this in a shell script. All right, this is called a shell script assignment. I've had people give me Python programs before. This is not a Python class. This is a Linux class. All right. So I'm expecting you to write this as a shell script. So use that language. Don't use C. Don't use Python. Don't use Go. Don't whatever other language it is that you think you're going to use. I'm expecting this to be a shell script. So keep that in your mind. All right. So anyway, grading rubric, you have to include the header shown above. So that's this lovely bit. The program must display the menu. So, is it going to show me option 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and tell me what they are and expect me to wait? All right. The options section does work, so I can actually say, oh, they've picked 3, and it actually runs some other command. All right. Exit on option 0. So you're gonna be like, okay, if they hit enter 0, it should just exit out of the program and be done with it. If they don't enter 0, it once they're done, whatever the command is, it then jumps back saying, what do you want to do again? And it's going to ask you for to enter number. So it's going to constantly just circle this thing until you enter 0. Is really what it comes down to. All right. And then each option is working as expected. So overall, it gives me the output I'm expecting, and there's no errors. All right. Many times I have to go through these things. I'm like figuring out how to grade them, and I'm like fixing errors along the way that they have in their program. All right. So yeah, be careful with that one. Helpful resources. All right. Unluckily, I think I need to go modify this. I don't think this website works anymore. All right. Now, if you go to the Wayback Machine, I believe it does still work. You can go find the information there, but it's obviously a little bit more complex to do. So I will go try to find a new website for that one. All right. And then lastly, there is a video down here at the bottom that I recorded, I don't know, last year, 2 years ago, 4 years ago, I don't know, some point, showing you a script that is actually running. All right. So if you want to be like, hey, is this working correctly? You can kind of go watch that script and kind of see what I'm expecting you to do. All right. It doesn't have to perfectly match this. No. All right. There are some variations that you might have. All right. You can watch the video yourself. In class, we'll go watch it in a few minutes. Pause it and watch it now. So let me pause this. Anyway, just wanted to point out that there are some variations. This is not like a hard set. Everything must work this exact way. All right. And a great example, if I can go back to that, I can find it again. This one, and then click here. If we again look at like the menu names, so it just says show the current date and time, show the first day of first name, 12 days of Christmas, again, the option menus, you can change the wording, doesn't have to be exact. Again, you could wait for input before you move on to the next one. There's a lot of slight variations that you guys can make in this assignment, and I'm not going to take off points for it. This isn't a hard set. This is a get yourself there your own way. All right, and again, you can use if statements, you can use case statements, you're going to do a while loop or a for loop, or, there's lots of options there for you guys. Yeah, so a little bit of give and take is really what it comes down to. As long as your code is working and outputting what I'm expecting it to output, you'll do very well. It's when your code doesn't work and there's an error that I'm then like, okay, now how much points do I have to take off because of this? All right, my personal suggestion for you, all right, for those who are going to have a hard time with this, which I'm expecting many people do, but do the menu options that are the simplest first, like the date and time one. That's really easy. It's like 1 line of code, maybe 2 lines of code, depending how you do it, to get the date and time to actually to echo out onto the screen. Really easy. You get to the 12 days of Christmas and you're expecting to now have if statements, and you have 12 different options or case statement with based on what number they pick. It's not hard, but it's time consuming. All right. So I would go through, do the simplest ones first. That way you're getting those points really quickly. All right. And then the ones that you have problems with, then come back and slowly try to work through those. All right. So you're overall graded on completion and how well it works. All right. So if if I look at your code and I'm like, oh, they're supposed to put a comma here instead of a period or whatever the case is, that's like a point or 2 off. All right. Now, if you're like completely butcher the command or, there's like no way for me to fix it easy, okay, then it's going to be more points off. All right. Or again, like you misspelled the word echo, you put EHCO. And then I'm always like, how did they miss that? I'm like, did they not test this before they submitted it? Especially people when I look at like the due dates and like they submitted it like a day or 2 early. And I'm like, did they not run it right before they submitted it? Because I would have been like, okay, right before I upload this, let me run it, make sure it works perfectly. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go through all the options, be like, cool, everything works. Now I can upload it. All right. But maybe they didn't go through all 12 Christmas songs. All right. And they missed, okay, on the 11th, they put EHCO instead of ECHO, type of thing. So, little things like that, they're not going to hurt you too much, but just be careful about it all is really what it comes down to. So. All right. Anyway, that's my quick kind of my intro on like how to use Cocalc, how to get that set up and running. All right. As well as the shell script assignment. All right. Let me know if you have any questions.